Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Elias Kalanzis with Transform Dental Sleep. We are super excited about tonight's webinar. I will be sharing my screen, and we're going to get started with tonight's. I wouldn't call it a lecture; I'd call it more of a panel discussion. Can you all see my screen?
Nope.
Great.
I can see you. And you're a beautiful man, Elias.
Thank you, sir. That's all. I was just going to say that's all you need to see, but we're good. Here we go. Microsoft PowerPoint. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about a system for better dental sleep practices. We've got a few panelists, and for those of you that follow us, you've seen every one of these people before. They're friends of ours and great dental sleep medicine. I would say two of them are dentists and one is the business owner. But Dr. Kerr, if you can just give us maybe a 30-second overview on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well written right there. I got to give that to both Jason and ChatGPT who helped write this bio. But yeah, I'm Max Kerr, living in Austin, Texas. We currently have 7 dental sleep medicine locations, 6 in Austin, Texas, 1 in Bentonville, Arkansas. And we do quite a bit of sleep. Our goal for our organization is to see 20,000 patients' lives improved through the power of oral appliance therapy. And we plan on doing that nationwide. I also implement EOS, that's the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's an organizational structure to help just scale and make businesses efficient, fun, and effective.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Lehman, same thing. Quick overview, please.
3 sleep practices in and around Phoenix, Arizona. And we have an MD and 2 mid-level, or what they like to be called APPs, also in the practice. And we are just starting to implement the EOS system.
Hey.
All right, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. All right, well, thank you. And Scott Craig.
So we have 5 locations in the Chicagoland area. We've been doing dental sleep medicine since 2006 exclusively. I have a wide variety of responsibilities, a pretty large team doing nothing but sleep. It's been a journey. It's a lot of fun. We just started with EOS as well. We're about 6-8 months into it, and it's quite the journey. It's a lot of fun. So looking forward to being on the panel here and sharing some of our thoughts.
Awesome. I had no clue that this was going to be a infomercial for EOS.
Well, I was literally about to say, before we get started, I would like to say this is not an infomercial for EOS systems. There are a couple questions on here, but really, Dr. Kerr, it's a testament to you. I mean, you spoke at the 2024 Transform Dental Sleep Symposium, and many, many people were impressed with your lecture and about being an EOS implementer. So there are a couple questions. Before we actually start the questions that everybody brought in from who's listening tonight, can you give us, this is not an infomercial for EOS systems, but please, can you give us just everyone kind of a 60-second overview or a 30-second overview of what it is and how you work with it? Because to a testament, there's 3 people on the webinar or on the panel. There's 15 practices between the 3 of you. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that these 2 people got involved with EOS after hearing your lecture, it's a good testament to what you're doing. So thanks for that. And can please give us a quick overview?
Yeah. Now we would normally take 90 minutes to introduce this appropriately. Again, we only have about 90 seconds here. I'm going to steal a few. So essentially what EOS does is it creates accountability through a system of both meetings, value structures, and just goal-oriented and prediction within the organization. So that way, everybody essentially knows exactly what they're supposed to do. We have hired the right people. They are on the right seats because we've defined what that looks like for us. And then we meet together as an organization, not EOS, but as the business itself. And we set priorities. These are weekly priorities or quarterly priorities, and then we just chew those away one step at a time. So overall, it's kind of a good way to keep track of everything, both metrics and any issues that arise. And so it's just a really, the way I look at it is it's organizational leadership, so that everybody knows the direction we're going, everybody's trying to get that way, and everybody's having fun doing it.
Awesome. Thanks for that quick overview. I feel like it's important because there is a question on there. And speaking of which, let's get started on our first question, because there's a lot of people on tonight and they're curious about systems that you guys have all implemented. And it's not about EOS. I mean, Scott, you have one of the busiest dental sleep practices in the country. And I would say easily top 5. Dr. Lehman, you as well. You have already had systems in place. So some of these questions are really regarding like, what are the things that are needed to kind of that you can share that are really going to help people put some really good systems in place. You can see the first question on the screen. I'm worried about getting everyone involved in creating. I'm worried about getting involved and everyone getting even more confused. Who in my office should be part of the decision-making process for your sleep mission? So I will open that up to anyone could just jump in on that one. Okay.
I'll let Stacy run that with that first.
Stacy, it's probably you.
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm getting graded though. Okay, so I would say my initial reaction is everyone, but you can't go to everyone until you have some idea. So we have a leadership team, we have an executive team, and then we have a leadership team. And so it kind of trickles down, executive team will decide something, and then we go to the leadership team, and then the leadership team will say, y'all are crazy and out of touch, and that's not going to work. And then they help us formulate, and then we go to the rest of the team. So that's how we do it.
What would you say, Scott?
Yeah, I think it's really similar. We identified, Max can speak more about it, but we identified like an integrator role or like chief operating officer years ago, and that person really steers the ship. I mean, they know what the vision is, they know what the mission is, and it's about getting everybody organized underneath that person to, generate traction and work towards our goals.
Excellent.
I read this question just a little bit different. I imagine this individual is a dentist who's doing dental work and trying to bring sleep into that practice. So I prefer to speak from experience and not tell people what to do. I want people to glean their own way, because really everybody's a snowflake and everybody has a different way to do things, right? So I can tell you what we did. We tried to shove sleep into a dental practice. That lasted for about 6 weeks, and we just couldn't get it off the ground. In fact, we asked the front desk to start billing medical, and they would always gravitate towards dental because dental was easy and they knew it, and billing medical, and we were a very busy dental office. And then so essentially what we ran into is all the medical billing just went to the wayside. So then we started, and that was just getting claims together. That wasn't the actual billing process. We also did the same thing with assistants. And again, the assistants kind of would just be like, I don't know what this is. And they just didn't give the patient care that we desired. And so we very quickly decided to create a separate entity. Now that entity still housed in the same 4-wall. We still had our business 4-wall there, but there was Vista Ridge Family Dentistry and Sleep Better Austin in the same house. Now, with that, meaning we had no dental team members at all working on sleep. We exclusively hired specifically for sleep. We hired one front desk and then one assistant. So at that point in time, at that small level, Hedgecock and my business partner, Brett, and Hedgecock and myself were making all the decisions. We were just telling people what to do. Now, I would argue that I'm sorry, that's my alarm to go to sleep. I go to sleep really early. Sleep is a very important thing, if we don't know that yet. Not really, but either way. So, but at this stage where Scott and Stacy are, I 100% agree with what they said. I think it's very important to have a very strong, what we would use in the EOS terminology is an accountability chart, with the upper level decision making, specifically only decisions that leadership can actually making those decisions. And then we allow our leads of each department to make decisions for their department. department. The last thing we needed to be doing when it comes to decision making is second guess the frontline troops, because honestly, they know a lot more about it than we do. But I can only imagine how many people Scott has employed, or even Stacy for that matter. We're carrying about 40 people, give or take. So you just can't. Everybody has to have siloed decision making capabilities, and you can't second guess all those things. We really just worry about the things that only people in the leadership team room could have to worry about, and we try to push everything down below us, for a couple of reasons. I think that empowers people when we ask them to make decisions and we support them in their either success or failure. I think that's a really important lesson to learn. And then secondarily, we just don't have the time to deal with it. So I don't know if that's a muddled response to this question, but that's the way I read it.
No, it's great. It's great. And probably and that is something to note too. Max, do you have any practices that still do dentistry? How many of the 7?
Yeah, so I currently, all of them.
Okay.
We have one 4-wall, one standalone actually. So we have 6. So every single one of my sleep locations is housed within either our dental practices or another one of our associates' dental practices.
Got it. And Stacy and Scott, you guys are just dental sleep medicine only. Just wanted to point that out for the group tonight. Yeah. Great, thank you. Let me move this over. How did your teams get aligned with your vision and keep them motivated? Scott, I'm going to go to you on this one.
Well, I mean, I think, if you look at like EOS, I think they have a great system for sort of defining this out, and you're sort of defining your core values first, your core focus, and then you're developing out, targets, 10-year targets. You're really articulating your marketing strategy, your 3-year picture, your 1-year plan. You're developing, large tasks that need to get done to get you there. Any issues that come up along the way, you're addressing those. So I think, finding the right people, putting those people in the right position, letting them do what they do. I think it's huge, knowing, like, identifying what you're good at, what you're not good at, and allowing people to really take the ball and run with it. Can't be underestimated. I mean, I can't play every position in our company, so I rely on good people to do their job. And we make sure that those people align with our core values, and that they know where we're going. They know what our focus is. We want to improve the quality of lives of our customers, and at the end of the day, we want to grow as a business, and we go from there. I mean, everything sort of centers around that.
I agree. Right people in the right seats, and give them the power to do what they are meant to do, and treat their family and them.
Yeah. What I ran into recently, this is more in my dental practice than my sleep practice, is just kind of a ho-hum attitude to what we were doing. And I was getting pretty frustrated with my team. And what I realized is I never articulated, and as in dental, we saw quite a bit of turnover, especially in the Austin, Texas market. And what I realized is I didn't ever communicate my passion for the vision to the rest of my team. And I really it was just words on a page, and I never really lived that vision. And I think what I truly believe is you have to have a vision that you are aligned with. It cannot be numbers on the P&L. I mean, the bottom line's great, but if it's not something that drives passion in your own life, we're on the stage right now with Scott and Stacy, who have bent over backwards to improve this industry that we're in. And they did that out of the gates, making a whole lot of money, I'm guessing. And so if this thing is not something that you're really excited about doing because you're making a difference in people's lives, then it's probably never going to work. You will never get your team aligned. This is never going to be a vision that motivates you, especially if you're looking at that profit line. Now it ends up being really nice, but the key to getting there is being so fired up about what we're doing that it's really kind of, it exudes out of you, out of every single pore, and then it infects everybody else. Very contagious. And the more you can get people aligned to the goal that Scott was talking about with the 10-year target, I just mentioned it. Ours is 20,000 lives saved. I mean, honestly, I don't want you on my team if you're not focused on that for the time that you're with us. Like I truly mean that that's the dent we're going to put in humanity, come hell or high water. Stacy Scott and I were on a call last night, and there's going to be high water and there's going to be hell. And we just have to have that vision as leaders. And if we don't, you're never going to keep your team aligned. You're never going to keep them motivated because you got to make sure that you got that fire in you.
Yeah, very. I always say strikes and gutters, as I was on that call last night too. Thanks for sharing that. And by the way, just to mention, Jason Tierney, my business partner, is on the back end asking questions. He was going to run tonight's webinar, is a little under the weather, so this is his slide. What is EOS and WTF does it have to do with DSM?
So I'll jump in on this one. EOS again is the entrepreneurial operating system. And we're probably going to be bouncing off of it a lot tonight, just because that's the nature of this conversation, and the three of us are doing it. EOS again, like, is a structure to run a business. We say that one of the rules of running a business is that you have to have an operating system. There's a few of them out there. The two ones that come to mind are EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, and built to scale, I believe, is maybe another one, or something, scaling up or something like that, by Vern Harnish. So these are just conceptual kind of beats. Just kind of, I guess, like, the best way to describe it is if certain rock songs have a certain way that the rock songs run. There's a certain drums track, there's a certain few chords, chord changes, whatever it might be. The same thing happens with business. All businesses have to have a few best practices collected, and there has to be a good coordinated communication cycle through the business, and there has to be a clear understanding of who does what within the business. And that's essentially what EOS does, is it brings all of that underneath one, I guess, operating system. What does it have to do with DSM? Well, we're all running businesses. For us to be effective in treating people with a disease that could kill them, it is incumbent upon us to be good business owners and leading a solid business. Because if we won't, then our reach will not go quite as far, and our frustrations will bleed out into our work, into our team, and then we will be ineffective at trying to help people stay alive and make positive impacts in their lives. So the best way to do that is being organized, and I think EOS is a way to do that.
Got it.
Well said.
Can you give just a couple of maybe examples that you can leverage, just to share maybe some pearls on, like, give us a component of EOS methodology and then how it specifically relates?
Yeah. So there's 6 key components within EOS. One is the vision component, one is the people component, one is the data component, one is the issues component, one is the process component, and lastly, there's the traction component. Each one of these components, what we do is we grade ourselves, and we hope to get an 80 or above, and that tells us we're doing well and we're probably running a very efficient business. I'm sorry, I need to turn this thing off. But running a very efficient business. So EOS, the whole idea is getting people above 80% in each component. With EOS, specifically for the vision, there is a document, we call it the VTO. That is very much what Scott was talking about. What it does is it highlights our values, it highlights our focus, it highlights our 10-year target. It also tells us what our marketing strategy is. It gives us our 3-year picture, and we break that 3-year picture into 1-year chunks, and that's where we get our 1-year plan. With our 1-year plan, what we essentially do is we then every 90 days, we're going to meet together and make sure that we're on plan for the year, knowing that is what's going to get us to our 3-year picture. Within that 1-year plan, every 90 days, we are choosing large, we call them rocks in EOS. We choose large projects that help us get closer to both the revenue metrics that we have set out at the beginning of the year, as well as all the goals that we have for the year. What is the business going to look like, and how's it going to feel? And so that's essentially in every 90 days, we get together as a leadership team. We take a day away from the office, so that way we can come up for air, make sure that we're still on track, adjust if necessary, and then go back down to execution throughout the next 90 days. We do that every quarter, including with an annual planning. So that's essentially one component. And if we do that very well, then we take care of that component, and then we try to focus on the rest of the 5, or the rest of the 6, so to speak.
Cool. As I said earlier, we don't work for EOS and sell this
Yeah,
stuff, just provide
didn't
info,
anticipate this. I love it. I
but
mean,
I love the, I
I'm
mean,
stealing everybody else's oxygen though.
when you did your the presentation at the symposium we had in Scottsdale in February, I was enamored because I was just, it was the structure and the flow of how things work. And a lot of people on site may never get that system, but just know that like there are certain things that you can implement into your business, which will parlay into our next question is, how do you define purposeful goals and what metrics do you use to measure success? That's real important, right? Because if you don't have any consulting or any training whatsoever, it could be, how many patients are we going to see in a month? Well, there's a lot of steps that go into that beforehand, right? So starting off with that core, let's do the purposeful goals. How do you define purposeful goals? And then give us some ideas of metrics. And since you just spoke, let me turn this over to Scott, because even before you started implementing the EOS, you've had clearly a very successful dental sleep practice in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah, I mean, when I came out to the meeting last year, the Transformed Dental Sleep Medicine meeting, Max's lecture really spoke to me, and we were at a point with the company where we sort of hit a ceiling, and I was really stuck in getting frustrated, not being able to break through that particular ceiling, and then, really feeling like I was really trying to push the business in a certain direction, and my key leadership personnel were sort of pushing back a little bit because everybody was just sort of maxed out. And when I heard the lecture, it just really spoke to me about what we were lacking at that particular time. And we were just really lacking a focused approach to moving forward. And really, we weren't gaining traction to get to that place. So, I think there's some really great tools within EOS that allow you to break through, any particular ceiling in your business, whether you're just getting started or whether you're running, a very successful practice. It's the tools are really for anyone. And one of the things, we just got done with our quarterly meeting for EOS right before I jumped onto this webinar. And, one of the things I just really love is being in the room with the people that are, they're fighting to really, serve our patients. And, it's hard. It's hard to run, a large business. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities, and everybody has their day-to-day lives and the things that are going on. So it's just wonderful to sit together and really attack some of the key issues, identify exactly what they are, and bring your team together around solving those particular problems and moving the business forward. It's just getting everybody on the same page about where you're going is really key to getting to where you want to go. And that is what really spoke to me. And so when I came back from the meeting, I immediately, hired a consultant, and we started moving forward, implementing this into our practice.
So for anyone, like in terms of defining purposeful goals, how do you come about doing that? Like, what are the first steps you start to think about? Again, separate from EOS, like what did you do beforehand? Stacy, if you want to jump in, like, how did you measure and track success?
So we've always had a Monday morning, the entire team jumps on a Zoom call and we go over our weekly numbers. That's what we've always done. And we say each office says the number of new patients, the number of scans, the number of deliveries, the number of medical patients, the number of conversions, the number of referrals. So we have our metrics that we talk about every single week. And then every month we have a full day all team meeting, and we go through the monthly meetings, and then we break out in clinical and admin kind of groups. And so I think it just depends. If you're talking about in a dental office, if you're doing 1 or 2, I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot you need to measure other than your patients' successes or failures and their attitude. But as you get larger, you got to have some type of a goal. So we have our goals and we have our numbers that we want to reach every month, including our collections, and we discuss that. If you're not discussing it, if it's not written down and you don't have a goal, it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, we all know that, even from the dental days. So I think it's going to develop over time. We're in a much earlier stage of EOS than these two. So we're just starting to really have the meetings and kind of outline everything. And I think the biggest thing is just, like you said, it's about organization. We are organized. We're very organized, but we're not really at that level of EOS. And it just takes you to a different level.
Yeah, I'll jump in a little bit here. Now, again, I think
Oh,
Max, you're muted.
I muted myself. I'm going back and forth. I have my metrics pulled up so I can tell you exactly what we measure. Revenue is a measurement of impact that you're having in the world. Profit is going to be a measurement of how well you're running a business, and then cash flow is going to be essentially gas to keep everything going forward, right? And so I think those things are very appropriate to design your business around goals, specifically with revenue, profit, and cash flow, so that you can keep the wheels running if you want to do that, because that measures some degree of effectiveness, whether it be impact, business operational effectiveness, or your likelihood of future growth. Now, the way we kind of come to those is we have a lot of metrics, specifically with our scorecard. We measure a number of meetings that we're scheduling. Specifically, these are lunches. This was even something that Dr. Hedgecock and I did when we were doing a lot of lunches and scheduling a bunch of lunches. We had a certain number of lunches that we would go out, or we would expect each other to go out to every single week. Now
Right.
we have
Excuse me real
outsourced
quick,
that.
just to clarify, you're talking about, because there's a lot of people on the webinar, lunches scheduled with physicians for
Correct. Yeah,
Okay,
I should
right.
have. I meant to mention that we are
Yeah.
heavily referrals based. In fact, I'd say at least 90% of our practices from referrals from physicians. So we look at downstream. What downstream action can we take to get the result that we need? If we want referrals, the best downstream action that we can take, or upstream action, I guess I should say, is getting in front of docs. So we have metrics on how many, and goals on how many meetings are currently we have to have for my there it is. I need to turn that off. For my team, we have to have 3 lunches a week with physicians in our location. We have delivery goal. We also have outstanding claims. We also have collections. We want to make sure that our collections are on par with, just because that's essentially our revenue. We want to make sure our collections percentage is high. We also are looking at consults versus impressions. So we have broken down each stage in seeing patients. So we have referral, then we have consults. So we have the referral to consult. So we do free new patient consults. So we have a referral to consult conversion. So every referral that we get, I want to measure how much conversion we're going to get to that patient coming in the seat. Then we measure the consult to impression conversion. So as we see new patients, I want to see what percentage of those new patients move forward with the device. And then I want to see what our delivery percentage is as well, because this allows me to really get a nice snapshot of my organization. It allows me to see, okay, I need to pull levers on either the referral aspect, the consult, or the actually getting the referral and getting them scheduled aspect, or maybe it's some language that me and my team are using when the patient is actually in front of us, or is there some back-end process where either patients are dissatisfied before they get the device, or our communication with the lab, or our communication with the insurance that doesn't allow us to deliver that device. So that kind of gives me I guess a flashlight to go look and see where we can improve. So those are our biggest metrics that we measure. But again, that needs to be all tied in to ultimate revenue and profit.
Those are definitely some purposeful goal set. how to measure. So I have a number of meetings, delivery goal, outstanding claims, collections, consults, impressions. You guys really kind of dove down. I like how you went from the consult next and then conversion.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you know, our delivery maps to what our revenue projection should be, right? Based upon what our average device cost is, or our average reimbursement for the device is.
Got it. Okay, great. I see some questions coming in. Jason will be assisting us at the end. And I did not mention this at the beginning, and I should have. You'll be receiving 1 hour of CE credits after the webinar is over, and probably 30 minutes when we close the webinar. You're going to be asked like 3 or 4 questions, and then we'll email you your CE certificate tonight within 48 hours. So within 2 days, usually goes out tomorrow. You'll get your CE certificate in the via email. Just going to take a quick minute on this slide and another minute on the next slide to tell you about the 2025 Transform Dental Sleep Symposium. This is our current list of speakers. I am going to ask my business partner not to invite anybody else. They're not going to fit on the page. We've got a whole list of dentists, physicians, sleep physicians. A great Hella Sibide is a great gentleman. He's the first African-American to run across the country. I think Jason told me he's ran every day for like 7 years. Insanity. Magnanimous personality. I've seen him on a podcast before. Great guy. But this is going to be in same location as last year. It's going to be in Scottsdale at the Hilton Cabazon, January 31st and February 1st. I think Jason's behind the scenes now, probably putting a link in. This is just a snapshot of a couple of the lectures. We've got Dr. Ryan Seuss, physician. He's an ENT in Pennsylvania. He's going to be co-lecturing with Dr. Nicole Chenet, who's board certified in dental sleep. One of their lectures is on coordinating with Inspire providers for more OAT referrals. Well, how does that happen? We know that Inspire gets a ton of leads on a monthly basis because they spend a lot of money in advertising, and a very large majority of those leads and those patients were inquiring about treatment. They don't qualify. I know this because a good friend of mine, good friend of ours, Scott, works there. That it's going to be,
or they have to fail OAT to get
there's a lot of
insurance approval.
requirements. There's a lot of requirements.
That went away, by the way.
Oh, it did?
Oh, did it?
Damn.
Dr. Joe O'Gile, he's a sleep physician from St. Louis. He's going to be talking about staying in my lane, collaboration in sleep medicine. We're looking forward to that one. And then, oh, look at that. This is how we do it. End-to-end patient experience panel discussion. The two of you, Dr. Kerr, Dr. Lehman, and Dr. John and David Federici, we're going to be doing a panel discussion. I'll probably be leading that one. And then we're going to have Dr. Jameson Spencer, the most exciting advance in the history of TMD. Wow, what a title. And why sleep dentists should care. I believe Jason's going to, he has put the link in there. And then he also put a promo code for JT100 to save $100 off of the registration fee. So I will get back. Thanks for listening. And we hope to see you in Arizona in January on the 31st. Clearly at the beginning of the webinar, Stacy and Scott, you guys talked about being at the symposium and seeing Dr. Kerr speak on EOS. That got you motivated to jump in. So I'll say this last thing about what we're doing at the symposium is we're really trying to get like-minded individuals together, no matter where you are in your journey of dental sleep medicine, because some people are just brand new starting out. When I first got involved in sleep, I live in the Chicagoland area. This was 2010. Midwest Dental Sleep, it was literally the next town over. The location you had in Shorewood, I live in Field, Scott. I knew about you beforehand. So it's not like you come to the symposium for that specific purpose, and you've been doing this a long time. So newbies, middle range, and people that have been doing this a while. So thanks for that bit there. All right. Oh, this is good. We want pearls. What one tactic can I employ tomorrow to optimize internal systems in our GP office treating sleep patients? So I'm looking for one tactic. They want to employ this tomorrow. So let me see who I want to call on first. I'm gonna call. You know what? We're gonna go around. Why are you smiling, Scott? Go ahead, Scott. One thing.
I talked to a lot of seasoned dentists, and I talked to, some of the newbies, and I think if it were me, the one thing, if I was just getting started in dental sleep medicine, I really wanted to optimize the sleep side of the practice. I think I would put a very strong emphasis on screening and following those patients through the entire treatment process, and for the long run, not just through diagnosis and then potential or referral off to the physician, but follow them indefinitely through the process. I think there are a lot of folks that want to get their sleep practice up off the ground, but don't really put that emphasis on screening. Gathering paperwork, having a health history is great, but if no one's really looking at that, it doesn't really help much. So I would start there. If you take that really seriously, you're probably going to have a great sleep practice moving forward.
Great. Max, what do you think? One thing, one tech
One thing.
tomorrow.
All right. In my head, so the one thing which I think is maybe a cheat here, because I would say change your schedule. And if you ask me what I mean by that, I want to say I think you need to make sure that you're scheduling at least one meeting every 2 weeks. Ideally, it would be one meeting, and this should be a 90-minute meeting every week with your whole team so that y'all can figure out how to do it appropriately. Everybody in your organization will come up with some great ideas, and I think it behooves you when you're making this type of change to listen to them and then make a good plan together. The other way to change the schedule, which is the way I snuck the second thing in, is start putting in blocks on your schedule to go ask for referrals from your local physicians. This could be either ENTs. We've worked with cardiology. We work with urology. We work with endocrinology, all the secondary care specialists, and make a habit of going and knocking on doors and asking for referrals. But make sure your business is right, because if they send something to you and it looks like a train wreck, then they're not going to send anything more to you. That's why you got to have the meetings.
Great. Stacy.
Mine would be to tomorrow morning place an ad for a sleep champion.
Amen.
You have to have, if you're just starting, you have to have one person that manages the entire thing and that they are ultimately responsible, especially when you're first starting. You need that one person that can do both admin and clinical.
Nice. All right. I'm going to next question. Our sleep practice is growing. We're bringing on more team members, but cracks are starting to show and there's a lot of friction. Any suggestions on messaging or management to help us through this?
I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
Outsource your billing. That's it. Get it out of your office. When you're first starting, get it out.
All right.
She's short and sweet, man. Stacey, you're making me look bad. I'm talking too much.
No, please.
I'll jump in here. There's going to be, there needs to be some more diagnosis here. It could be that you don't have some of the right people. Maybe they're not clear on what they should be doing. That's maybe why there's some there's some cracks. Maybe some of these people don't have enough capacity. Capacity is either time or skills. And so identifying actually what's going on, I think, is most important. If people do not have enough time, then you need to be able to create time through technology or really just bringing new heads in. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money, right? And so sometimes if you're wanting to grow, you have to keep on doubling down. But I think there needs to be a lot of diagnosis, like what is causing the friction, it's not growth for growth itself. And then again, with your management team, make sure that you're providing all the training necessary. And if not, make sure you're providing the bodies that need to get all the work done appropriately. And like Stacy said, I think outsource where you can. I think that's very important, especially if it costs you more money and for keeping it in-house.
Got it.
My take on that, I love EOS because I mean this is really how I came to making that change in our business, and adopting EOS in the practice. Was we were hitting that ceiling. We were growing to that next break point. And I think EOS has these 5 components of leadership where they're stressing the idea of simplification, trying to make every system to really simplify it to the core components of any particular process, delegating out to your management personnel and so forth, predicting, what the issues are and identifying, discussing them and solving for any issues that are coming up within the practice. And I mean, that's that traction piece. The issues are going to come up regardless of the size of the practice, and you need to be able to solve them or you get stuck. So I think being able to predict, creating systems, training, measuring, leading and managing through that process and keeping people accountable. And then, like Max was saying, having that, accountability chart or like an org chart where you have like the 5 functions that every person, is responsible for. And it's clear who's responsible for what, and you hold them accountable to that. And you hire and fire based on the core values. I think just naming off ours, my number one is passionate. They're passionate about treating our patient base. Everybody's a snowflake. Sometimes patients come in, they're exhausted, they're difficult to deal with and so forth. We want people that really understand what it means to treat a patient with snoring and obstructive sleep apnea, and really lives to do that. We want people who are kind, honest, growth oriented, and professional. That's what we're looking for. We hire and we fire accordingly. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough to let people go, but if they don't fit that description in the organization, it's just not going to work. So it's easier to just make that decision right away and move forward and find the right team member.
Yeah, because sometimes you're right. Friction does get created, especially when there's an old guard and a whole new team, and then things like that happen. As long as you're constant with your message and vision and what you want, and the people you're bringing on, everyone kind of has to be like-minded, passionate about treating patients. Whatever your passion is, that has to come through on your mission statement, obviously, right?
Yep.
And Scott, one of the things you told me a few months ago that really kind of I smiled. I don't remember. I think we were picking mushrooms.
Orgy?
Magic
Not
mushrooms?
the other kind.
No.
Let's set the record straight for that.
Morel mushrooms. When
Oh.
you said, you told me that the delegation piece was huge for you. Just delegating and seeing the team, your management team, thrive when they come back to you with something that you delegated. That stuck with me.
Well, you got to remember, anybody on the leadership team is a bottleneck if they're not pushing down the things that somebody else could do. Really, the leadership teams in the closer you are to the top, you should have a specific set of skills that you're really good at that nobody else can do. If you're doing things that somebody else can do, they likely have more time to do it and can do it better. So it's really incumbent upon us as leaders to get rid of those things. And that means that sometimes you have to get the right person to delegate it to, and sometimes that means you have to add people to delegate it to. And so, you really, but this is iterations. You're constantly doing this with your organization.
Yeah, I think letting go of those reins is really difficult. It's been difficult for me over the years in a variety of different capacities. And I think, one of our core values is honesty. And I got to be honest with you, from time to time, I have to look in the mirror and say, like, I'm not great at doing this. Like, that's really the reality of the situation. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I need to find somebody else who can do this better than I can. So, most of the time when we hit a break point, it was something in me that wasn't allowing us to grow, some type of fear, some type of inability to let go of the reins. And, I think when I put, our core leadership team in a room together, it's a vulnerable process to really talk about the issues, because they can be people related issues. They can be issues within ourselves. So having those people out there that are willing to be, brutally honest with you about, where we're at individually and where we're at as a team, that's huge.
Awesome. I'm considering transitioning to sleep only, what 3 pieces of advice can you share? It can leverage your failures and your successes. So I would like to start on this one. I can see Stacy, she has the don't call on me face.
Yeah, that's what I said. Don't call on me because these two are the only ones that are sleep only in my world. So
I'm
like
happy to
I
answer.
only do sleep, but I have other. I'm in dental practices. So
I know our motto is cheapest startup ever. We have no debt. We do not buy what we don't need. We start out as cheap as possible with the bare minimum so that we don't have the pressure of paying bills. So we can
because
just go
that
out and
cycle
do
is 6 months, right? Like
it's
it just
just,
takes forever to get paid for your first
yeah.
device,
So
and you
you
have to pay
keep
for
your
the lab
costs
fee
low.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Keep your costs low so you don't have that pressure.
And if anybody's on the webinar tonight who's more interested in that specific topic, go to transformdentalsleep.com. All of these webinars get recorded and they get stored. That was an awesome webinar. We did cheapest startup ever
Cheapest startup ever.
with you and your business partner, Alicia, Alicia Tierney. That was a great webinar because I thought about that. First of all, I would have relabeled it and put aggressively priced. I don't like the word cheap, but cheapest.
We like it.
I know, but that's
cheapest startup ever. I know it has a negative
connotation. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really, I mean, we're every day, at least in dental, we had reps come in and say, you got to do this, and one case will pay your monthly fee. No, you don't need all of that. It's very simple to get started, and it just takes so much pressure off of you so you can focus on the actual business and growing it.
Okay. I won't stay on you unless you have another one because we would like to get a few out here. Let's go. Max, what do you think?
Again, like I said, we're still running dental practices. So, but I would echo exactly what Stacy said. I mean, we were debt free. The way we started is Hedgecock started it, and then I bought some of it because I was still running our dental practice together. And so that's neither here nor there. So I took a little bit of debt out to purchase something that was always running. Transitioning to sleep only, just have your ducks in a row. Make sure that you know exactly who's doing what in your sleep only practice, and make sure that you're okay with dropping some revenue, because or at least matching the revenue that you would drop, grow your sleep to then be able to drop the dentistry. Because like I was saying earlier, it takes the moment you get a referral, it might take a week or two for us to bring that person in. Now to get authorization, it might take up to 4 weeks to get authorization. And then, you're going to have 4 weeks before you get your device. Now you have to pay for your device the month that you actually order the device. And then once you get the claim out after you're delivering the device, you can wait up to 3 months to get payment on that device. So just know that there is a sometimes 6-month lag in, 4 to 6 month lag in reimbursement for the one device that you delivered, and be ready to surf that wave.
Right.
That's not 3, but that's the one piece of advice.
Oh, we got 2. We have Stacy's as well. And there's something about too, and I think it was like when if you're new and you have a new NPI number, it takes long. You have to get credentialed within the system.
If you're new, it just double everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Takes way longer to get paid if you're not in the system. Scott, what do you think? I know that you've never owned the dental practice, you're only dental sleep, but you've talked to thousands of dentists. What do you think?
Sure. I mean, my dad started in general dentistry and he moved to, a sleep only practice. So, I'm familiar with the issues, that my dad faced. I think it's the same story everybody else probably faced. If you're not focused on this, it's really difficult. And there are a lot of challenges in dental sleep medicine, things that need to be overcome, from the medical billing piece to, just the coordination of care through that whole medical model. Getting people diagnosed, getting people treated. We ran into all of the problems that you could possibly imagine. And I think it's just, it's about patience and persistence. And, great things take time. They take time and they need a great champion. So, you got to take care of yourself. You can't take care of your team if you can't take care of yourself, and your team's got to take care of the patients and the referral sources. So, treat your people great. If you do that, you'll hold on to your people. And I think you can build an extraordinary organization that can, treat a tremendous number of patients. But, it starts, in my opinion, again, back with a really serious focus on screening. I mean, most practices that are out there, a solid 25% of their patient base is going to have obstructive sleep apnea. So if you take that seriously, you're going to generate a lot of patients and you're going to develop a relationship with the referral source by referring patients their direction. Now, those patients may not immediately become oral appliance patients, but if you look at the statistics related to CPAP, if you follow those patients over time, you're going to find that many of those patients might go on to CPAP, but they might fail treatment attempts with CPAP and, be a great patient coming back to you. So, again, it's about screening, it's about tracking that process. And, I agree with Stacy, you need a sleep champion to do all of those things. So maybe that's the start, and then really the focus on screening. And I think from there, it will take care of itself. If you have a team that's passionate about taking care of sleep patients, I think things will fall in line.
Awesome. Another question. I'm on the ground floor. This is not on the screen, just a question that came in. I feel like it's a good time. I'm on the ground floor and of a new sleep practice. Should I get involved with EOS now before I get staff? Question mark.
I think it'd be great to read the book Traction, understand the beats. When you're your only employee, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I would say that our target market is companies with, so me as an EOS implementer, anywhere companies that have anywhere from 6 to, let's say, 250 to 400 employees. 400 is kind of scratching the surface on the top end of it. So I think these are all best practices, and the more you kind of get familiar with them, and the sooner you are able to implement them yourself, I think it's very important. At the very least, it's going to help, I guess, organize your thoughts and kind of give you some degree of direction on where to go. So that's my suggestion. But I would not, don't stress about doing it. Read the book first. The book is Traction by Gino Wickman.
I was just scrolling through my audio book on. I have a great book. I was going to show you the cover. Can't find it. You recommended it. There it is.
Yeah, I listened to it initially, and then I bought it, and I started highlighting everything. And then after I started highlighting everything, I read their whole library. Then I figured out I was really good at it, and so then I became an implementer. So.
And Jason just put the book link if you want to check it out. But you know what I haven't seen? I haven't seen the link in there for Transform Dental Sleep book that you can get on Amazon. Author.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a hell of a book too.
Yes, it is.
Throw that in there, Jason.
But can I be a TDS implementer as well and just start adding to everything, all the letters on the end of my name? Oh, wait, that's one of the doctors that we don't want to talk about.
There is an Audible too, for those of you that want to listen to it in your car.
I didn't know that. Who did Jason read it?
I cheated on the flight home from Transform.
Oh no, he's talking about Traction.
Oh man, I got real excited for a little bit.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Jason. That's actually, I told him that's the first book I've read in like 5 years because I listen to all my audios. Yeah. I had to fit, but it was easy because it's it's great.
You want to read Jason's book? There's some awesome pictures in there that go along.
No kidding. I agree.
Awesome. So those of you that have questions, please enter them now. I'm just going to go through a couple things here on the end of the webinar as we're wrapping up. I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah, September 10th, same time, 7 p.m. We're going to have Teamwork Makes the Dream Work and Sleep Champions Make the Difference. That's with Jason, Jessica Vasquez, and Licia Crawford Tierney. Jason, I don't know if you're...
No, just this is a shameless plug. Jessica is our integrator. So she is the person that runs, she runs Sleep Better Austin. So she is, like, as much as I own the place, she is my boss.
Oh, excellent. Okay, cool.
She's the glue.
She was. That's
Amen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Jason, I hope he's putting the link in. Put the link in the next webinar if you get a chance. If not, we'll put it in the email that's going to go out tomorrow. And let's see this. Boom. And then again, register for the Transform Dental Sleep Symposium. Use the promo code JT100, January 31st and February 1st. Oh, if you have registered, make sure to book your hotel rooms because they're more than half sold out. There's only a certain amount allotted they have in the book or in our block. It's really like, I think it's like $180 or $200 off a night by using our room block. So if you have registered, don't sleep on the hotel reservation. And then there also are 3 workshops at the symposium. Symposium's going to be a Friday, Saturday. On Thursday, there's 3 workshops. One is on pediatric sleep. One is on marketing. And the one on the screen is what you don't know about medical billing can hurt you. These are 6-hour. They're an additional fee. You'll see it when you go on our website, tdssymposium.com, to register. This is fully immersive with a group of people. Each one of them are going to be like this. So there's 3 different workshops you can go to the day before. You can send your team to. It's all listed there on the website.
You know, Jason just put that we blocked out the whole hotel for TDS, and it's 60% booked, which is phenomenal. And I just thought really quick, if any other dental organizations blocked a whole hotel for their symposium or conference, I probably wouldn't want to stay at that hotel. And maybe that's me being an asshole. And I apologize for that. But I must say the crew that you guys bring around you are like, I thought, man, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Just because it's not stale. It's very exciting. It's everybody that I think is that's really wanting to move the industry in a positive direction and is very excited about it. So
awesome.
Sorry to jump in, Elias.
Oh, no, great. Thank you. I just want to look for does anybody else have any other questions? Jason, if you can tap me there, let me know because I haven't really been following. Let's see. Okay. I'm an associate with dental sleep medicine training, having difficulty with team buy-in. They seem to only follow what the owner dentist suggests. I've been asking to do a lunch and learn for the team for almost a year now. My assistant and I are so passionate about dental sleep medicine. What are your thoughts?
Ugh, that's rough.
If you can't get the owner dentist on board, it's going to be really tough, and you should probably go out and do your own thing.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
the same, that's
like
the same page meeting, isn't it, Max?
Yeah, I mean, I would question how, how specific have you been in trying to set up, and what type of work have you done to try to set up these lunch and learns or this lunch and learn? And if there's some degree, if you're passionate about this and they are not receptive to that, and you've been very clear about your passion, and this is something that's important to you, yet they've still ignored you for a year, then I would check your gut, because that's not a good sign. Because at the very least, if you had a owner dentist that cared about what you were excited about and thought that there might be some revenue opportunities there, at the very least they should listen to you and support you. I think I would be concerned that I was in a situation that at some point in time resentment would be built up, and it's really hard to kind of wash that away once it kind of starts festering, especially as an employee. So my message with that is just check your gut and make sure that your side of the street's clean. Make sure you're very specific about what you're asking for, and ask for buy-in. Be specific about, you need the support of the owner to get the support of the employees on board. And if it's still kind of radio silence, then that might be not the best place for you, unfortunately.
Awesome. Sincerely, I really, really appreciate the 3 of you taking the time. There's a lot of great information in here to kind of soak in. This has been recorded. It's going to be on our website within a week. Everyone tonight will get the email within the next 48 hours. I think Jason said 36 hours with a CE certificate. Quick shout out to our friend. I caught that in the chat. Dr. Rajmi Parmer. If you guys saw, we all know her. Congratulations. She found out she's going to be a grandma. Jason was asking her about, she's going to be coming to our meeting, and she's not, her daughter let her know that she's going to have some new grandma responsibilities. So Rajmi, congratulations. That's awesome. Shout out to you. I will, any final thoughts or comments for everyone? Scott, Stacy, Max?
Well, you know, my main thing is just don't be afraid. If we're talking about transitioning and getting it done, we are needed. And so just do it. Stop overthinking it. Get out there and get it done.
Yeah, you know, this is it's a painfully short life that we live, and to sit on your heels the whole time, and then, you know, what is it, the rocking chair question? Like, if you're 60, or no, that's the wrong, we're close to that, sorry. If we're 80, you're sitting on a rocking chair on your porch and you have these I wished I would have, and you know you're going to have that then the time to do it is now. So get on it, because we don't, you know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, and we can really make a difference for the people that aren't guaranteed tomorrow with what we do. So it's a special thing.
I mean, I would say, you know, be passionate, be persistent, and also be patient. You know, it takes time.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very, very much. We hope to see you in January, at the end of January in Scottsdale. Again, to our panelists, thank you very much for the friendship and for doing these webinars for us, because they're great information to get out. So everyone have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one.
Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.